Why are hallucinogenics illegal? Many people take for granted the idea that various drugs are illegal, but many drugs are not. Mood-altering psychoactive drugs have been used in the so-called mental health industry, administered by psychiatrists even to children, for years, and nobody bats an eyelid. Here's a question you might want to consider. Why is it that drugs given to mental patients are rarely taken recreationally by the healthy of mind, when drugs like crack cocaine are? Could it be that for the users of crack cocaine the pros outweigh the cons, whereas in the case of, for example, haloperidol, with its side effects of dizziness, drowsiness, difficulty urinating, trouble sleeping, headaches, anxiety, muscle spasm, tremors, restlessness, mask-like facial expressions, drooling, decreased sexual ability, inability to produce sperm, enlarged breasts in men, and permanent tardive dyskinesia, which causes sufferers to have difficulty controlling their bodies and become prone to random repetitive movements that can be physically disabling? The cons really start to outweigh the pros. So why are hallucinogenics illegal? In 2005, the UK government passed a law classifying magic mushrooms as a Class A drug and making them illegal across the country. Under Clause 21 of the Drugs Act 2005, it is now an offence to import, export, produce, supply, possess, or possess with intent to supply magic mushrooms, including in the form of grow kits. But what is the possible motivation for this? There has been little to no evidence of negative effects of hallucinogenics as a whole, but so-called magic mushrooms as a specific group, and the positives are obvious. The UK government's own website, Frank, jointly established with the Department of Health and the Home Office of the British government in 2003, that is intended to reduce the use of both legal and illegal drugs by providing targeted and accurate information on drugs and alcohol, particularly to school pupils, lists the negative effects as taking the wrong mushroom by mistake, giving you a bad trip, flashbacks, distorted perceptions, and dangerous to people with mental health issues. So let's examine these claims one by one. Taking the wrong mushroom by mistake. Let's compare the use of magic mushrooms to another recreational drug, alcohol. In the case of alcohol, a nice, safe, taxable substance, there are countless cases a year of people with absolutely no training in chemistry or chemical identification accidentally imbibing other clear chemical substances such as carbonyl chloride or diphosgene, both of which can kill you instantly on contact. Except that doesn't happen at all, because as the substance is legal, regulation can ensure that companies like Budweiser don't sell you a bottle of white spirit instead of beer. This argument against magic mushrooms is laughable. They can give you a bad trip. Let's compare the use of magic mushrooms to another form of recreational entertainment, going to the cinema. Large numbers of people went to see the film The Phantom Menace, and it was largely thought of as a terrible film. According to Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score was 60%. That means that 40% of the people that went to see this film did not have a very good time. Perhaps it even ruined their day, or in extreme cases ruined their year. No comparable statistics have ever been gathered over the use of magic mushrooms. It would be very surprising if bad trips occurred anywhere near close to 10%, let alone 40%. If the percentage of bad trips to good ones becomes too great, people simply don't want to take that drug anymore. Compare magic mushrooms to ergot. Nobody takes ergot recreationally. So given that The Phantom Menace has a bad trip rating of 40%, the government has rightly categorised it as a Class A film and made it illegal. Except, of course, they haven't. This argument against magic mushrooms is laughable. Flashbacks. Flashbacks are the first genuine potential problem associated with magic mushrooms, but then people have reported flashbacks from playing video games. Should these be made illegal too? Distorted perceptions. So-called distorted perceptions is not a negative side effect of magic mushrooms. It is a reframed description of the desired effects of magic mushrooms. For example, you might describe alcohol as producing a reduced sense of inhibition, which may result in actions the user may find embarrassing under other more sober circumstances. It's not untrue, but then if alcohol did not produce those effects, nobody would ever drink it. This argument against magic mushrooms is laughable. Dangerous to people with mental health issues. Mental health problems are obviously a serious issue, and they can be incredibly debilitating in daily life. If a person suffers from schizophrenia, for example, there are plenty of activities that they should avoid. According to the North Shore Schizophrenia Society, which is a pioneering family support organisation providing help for those with mentally ill relatives, schizophrenics may have difficulty with a wide range of drugs. A schizophrenic's hypersensitive system can produce abnormal reactions to common activities like smoking, drinking too much caffeine, and using cold medications. Small amounts of alcohol can induce or mimic psychosis or worsen the symptoms of schizophrenia. Obviously, the mentally ill need to be protected, so substances and activities that are potentially dangerous to them, such as the drinking of coffee, have rightly been made illegal, except of course, they haven't. This argument against magic mushrooms is laughable. So, why are they illegal? Who benefits from this? Well, let's look at who spends money lobbying governments to keep illegal drugs such as magic mushrooms illegal. One lobbying group, the Drugs of Abuse Testing Coalition, spent £57,614 between 2011 and 2012. Why? Because in order to enforce anti-drug laws, governments need to use taxpayer money to purchase drug testing kits from private corporations. This is a method of funneling public money, your money, into private hands. Beer manufacturing companies regularly make large donations to initiatives and government groups promoting the illegalization of recreational drugs. This is to create a situation of monopoly. Monopoly is used to create price fixing, inferior products, and general consumer rip-offs. An attempt to create a monopoly in a sense is a tacit admittance that the product is not as good as its possible competitors and would not survive competition. The private prison industry also lobbies to keep drugs illegal. More laws mean more criminals mean more convicts, and more convicts means more government money for them. This is a method of funneling public money, your money, into private hands. Since 1989, addiction services trade groups and individual companies have donated a combined £556,608 to keeping illegal drugs illegal. This is because they can be paid by governments to force people to go to rehab and so make a lot of money. This is a method of funneling public money, your money, into private hands. The war on drugs is also used to artificially reduce unemployment numbers, to suppress minority populations, drive up prices, protect big pharma monopolies, and puts money into the hands of banks through laundering. In short, the illegality of drugs is theft. Not only does it literally rob countries of public money, which could be spent on schools, hospitals, and the fire service, all of which are facing severe financial problems, and puts that money into the hands of fat cats who avoid paying tax, it also robs the Western world of experiences which are their birthright.